Hello! Okay, so we have another question here. Different places of left hand on rest or different kinds of stroking the tipper excluding the rhythms. So I'm assuming that when you mean rest, it means like when it's more open. I think that's what you mean. I'm not completely sure, but it's a really good question actually. So normally whenever I'm kind of going for the bass notes or like I'm more open tone, I kind of go around here. And this is pretty much my resting place. So I'm going to be using the middle finger, the ring finger and the pinky finger kind of at the edge of my fingers, kind of not there, not like in the pads, but kind of like on the edge. And I'm just gonna put it down where the wood meets the skin, and those three fingers, I kind of just place them there. It depends how big your drum is. Some people might want to go a little bit lower here, and some people might want to go a little bit more around there. What I suggest though is not going here and having that as your lowest bass, because if you do, then you kind of have that as your lowest bass, and then you tend to play from here on up, and basically, in my opinion, all of this is then kind of lost. So it's better that if this is really uncomfortable for your elbow, I'll show you what it looks like properly, but if this is kind of really uncomfortable for your elbow, then try somewhere there, but maybe not all the way over here. And another thing to remember is that some people play from the top up, so they play like this would be their bass rather than this being their bass. So my style goes from bass to the higher tones and back to the lower tones, and I think for the people who play up here, this is their bass, and then this would be kind of like their higher tones, so they're kind of playing a little bit more the bass and then kind of like this, whereas I play like this, if that makes sense. So yeah, so if I'm just sitting here, if I go all the way to the back, you can see it's kind of very uncomfortable. So I don't want to go all the way to the front here, like I mentioned. So you kind of want to just find that place where it's not really uncomfortable, but that you're not kind of forgetting part of your drum. So that would be usually where I rest. It would be there. And I also use it for the bass, my lower bass. Yeah, other parts that well, it's not really rest, it just depends if I'm doing a pop or a snare or things like that. But yeah, this would be the best kind of resting place that I feel I have control of the drum, but I still have a really nice open sound. And then for the different strokes on the tipper, I'm not really sure what you mean about that, excluding the groove, but I'm assuming that it's how you're attacking the skin or how you're stroking the skin so that you have a better sound overall. So one of the things to remember is that if you're completely parallel, if your tipper is completely parallel to the skin, it's very easy to kind of miss, and it's very hard to play because it's so parallel to the skin. If you open completely like this, then that's really hard as well, because you're kind of playing with this side of the tipper, and what we really want is kind of like a little bit of the side of the tipper. So we don't want a 90-degree angle, we don't want it completely out either, but we want somewhere in between, like a happy medium. Some people prefer a little bit closer, some people prefer a little bit out. It just depends. But definitely some people of the students that I have, sometimes they start playing here and then they end up doing kind of this, and this gives you a lot of sound. And sometimes people do the opposite, they start playing here and then they end up here, and then they start missing a lot of triplets or a lot of their different patterns. So find the middle ground and kind of observe yourself and what you're doing from time to time to make sure that your angle is correct. So you can kind of find where it is, play, and then sometimes just look at where the angle is from that. Another thing to kind of consider is when you're playing, you don't want to play kind of like a brush stroke like this, because it gives you that sound. You want to play inwards. So I don't know if you want to do like an arrow or a C. You kind of want the force of the drum to go inwards, like you really want to hit the drum. Rather than stroking it like this. So I would call that maybe like the attack, or how you're how you're actually angling your stroke to go in instead of kind of down and stroke. So this is down and this is in. So it comes also from the power from here, and that also depends on how you're holding the tipper. Like if you're going more traditional, or if you're going more this way, or even if you're going this way. I think there is a certain thing that kind of feels the same, even if it might look slightly different, is that you're going into the drum rather than just on the surface. So I hope that helps. Those are definitely some of the things that have helped me get like a clearer tone, is the angle of my tipper and how I'm actually stroking the skin. Okay, so for the next question, I'm actually going to take two examples just so I can talk a little bit more about it. So this one says basic jig and basic reel techniques and basic jig pattern variations. So I've actually done a whole course talking about the different jigs and how to have variations and how to implement them into tunes. The same for the reels, and I also talk about technique and the left hand and everything, and that's actually part of the course that I did with the Online Academy of Irish Music, and it's actually a really cool course on our website, and you would be able to play along with the same tracks that I played for the tutorials, and it's actually really cool. So I will put the link down below so you guys can check it out. So I know I didn't get a chance to answer everybody's questions, but I think I'm going to do another round of questions in my stories, so keep tuned for that. And also you're welcome to comment down below what you would be interested in me doing. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!